Ladies and gentlemen, this is Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie. And the show starts right now.
Well, we are back. Breaking news still, continuing to, facts continue to come in, but I want to start out with a correction in the earlier short live that I did. I had used information from the West Virginia governor that said both of those guardsmen had been killed. He later went and retracted that and took it back to that they were both in critical condition. So, Ronnie, you heard anything more about the status of it?
No, the status I have not. I've got it pulled up right here, though. I've been checking, and I don't think they have a status up yet.
Well, we try to always be red, white, and true, and we apologize for that. You would think that the governor of the state would have the right information, and I'm not faulting that person because he obviously got his information from somewhere. But when we mess up, we try to correct it. At this point in time, both are listed in critical condition. Ronnie, can you tell us what took place at about 2:15 this afternoon? There in Washington.
There's a lot of conflicting reports, but it looks like there was a couple of guardsmen standing there near looked like a bus stop or a bus stop seating, and this guy come up and started shooting. Got one guardsman, I believe they said in the head. I'm not 100% positive yet. Other guardsman ducked down behind the bench seating and was shot as well. I guess response was pretty quick. Both guardsmen and the shooter are all in the hospital now. So they really haven't, even with the press conference, they really didn't have too much, but it looks like it was 2 blocks away from the White House. Police presence in DC is very strong right now. So
yeah, the White House was immediately put on lockdown.
Yes.
However, the president was in Florida.
Yes, he was at Mar-a-Lago. Yes.
And he did come out with an almost immediate statement. The animal that shot the 2 National Guardsmen, with both being critically wounded and now in 2 separate hospitals, is also severely wounded, but regardless will pay a very steep price. God bless our great National Guard and all of our military and law enforcement. These are truly great people. I, as President of the United States, and everyone associated with the office of the presidency, am with you. What do you think, Ronnie?
Yeah, so it's one thing with Donald Trump. The difference between Donald Trump and Sleepy Joe Biden is Joe Biden, he might have said something, but I guarantee you it was one of his staffers or something like that. But I mean, Pete Hegseth has already come out and talked. The FBI director Kash Patel had already talked. JD Vance, I believe, has said something. He has. Yeah, he wasn't there in Washington either. So, you know, that's something that I really appreciate, as opposed to the left side of the aisle. They're always a little bit slower to ever say anything.
Yeah, and you know, multiple cabinet level people have mentioned things. Let's see if we can find here what Hegseth had to say. I had it up earlier, and it must be on his other. But let's instead let's. Oh my! Breaking news, and let's. Wow, things aren't where I thought they were. Uh,
I didn't put any videos on there because you said you had some. I do have about the large fire in Hong Kong. Have you seen that?
I have, and
Oh man.
go ahead and do something there, and answer Mary's question, and then at that time I should have these back to where they.
Well, I can jump on Mary's question real quick because I do have this currently pulled up. I've been watching Flight Tracker and the news and everything. So Mary, oh, don't go away. Mary asked, "What about the planes in Venezuela right now?" Nothing. There really hasn't been a whole lot going on. That's a Learjet, Beach 1900D. That's not United States, and I don't think that's the United States either. So I guarantee you there's still ships in the water. I know there was a pretty big battle group down there, but so far today there hasn't been really any flight traffic going on down there. But as far as the news in Hong Kong, a very large apartment complex caught fire, and they've been battling it for almost 24 hours, I believe. This is pretty phenomenal stuff.
Firefighters are battling a blaze that has burned out of control, ripping through 7 of 8 towers of this public housing development in Hong Kong's Tai Po district. I just heard some kind of pop from the flames that are just billowing out of windows here. This is a deadly fire, one of the deadliest in recent Hong Kong history, which has claimed the lives of at least 13 people at this point, including an experienced firefighter, and injured dozens more. The housing estate here was home to more than 4,000 people, many of them made homeless within a matter of the past couple of hours. By the time the fire department was on the scene, the fire was already spreading inside one of the towers and up the bamboo scaffolding and construction netting that was sheathing the different towers here. It's not clear whether or not that could have contributed to the spread of the inferno from one tower to another. But at this point, it is very clear that despite this being a Category 5 fire with scores of fire trucks on the scene and emergency personnel, the fire is nowhere near under control.
That's some pretty serious stuff right there.
Absolutely. And I have what I was wanting there from Pete Hegseth up right now. Let's go to what he had to say.
After those meetings, myself and my team were notified that 2 National Guardsmen have been shot in Washington, D.C., critically wounded. The shooter shot in a cowardly, dastardly act targeting the best of America, heroes willing to serve in Washington, D.C., serve for people they don't know and they've never met because they love their country and their capital and their community. They were willing to do dangerous things others were not because they love their fellow Americans. Someone decided to turn that into targeting National Guardsmen. That will only stiffen our resolve. We will never back down. We will secure our capital. We will secure our cities. In fact, this happened just steps away from the White House. It will not stand. And that's why President Trump has asked me, and I will ask the Secretary of the Army to the National Guard, to add 500 additional troops, National Guardsmen, to Washington, D.C. This will only stiffen our resolve to ensure that we make Washington, D.C. safe and beautiful. The drop in crime has been historic. The increase in safety and security has been historic. But if criminals want to conduct things like this, violence against America's best, we will never back down. President Trump will never back down. That's why the American people elected him. America and our warriors are national.
And so that is a classic power move to instantly put 500 more on the ground. That's classic American. This is how we do it. You punch us in the mouth, and we will punch you so hard that you will never get up again.
Yeah, we'll knock you into next week.
Yeah, and you know, bad guys, that's what they understand. You know, obviously this guy wasn't afraid of dying, or else he would not have done what he did. I've seen some pictures of what he looks like, strapped to a gurney, and I'm not going to use those, but here is FBI Director Kash Patel in a news conference that they did there close to the scene.
Of both the federal and state and two of our brave members of the National Guard and the Department of War were brazenly attacked in a horrendous act of violence. They were shot. They're in critical condition. As you can see behind me, we have assembled the full force of both the federal and state and local law enforcement agencies to bring bear all of our resources to make sure we find the perpetrators responsible for this heinous act. And make no mistake, they will be brought to justice. Since this is an assault on a federal law enforcement officer, this will be treated at the federal level as an assault on a federal law enforcement officer. The FBI will lead out on that mission with our interagency partners, to include the Department of Homeland Security, Secret Service, ATF, DEA. And we're thankful for the mayor's assistance in this matter, the Metropolitan Police Department and their skills in investigating homicides and gun shootings in this city is exceptional. We will work together collaboratively because this is a matter of national security, because it's a matter of pride. President Trump has been informed. We've been in contact with the White House. We will shortchange the American public with no resources to make sure we find and safeguard our nation's capital right here in Washington, D.C., and bring anyone responsible for this heinous act of violence to justice. I would lastly like to add to the American public and the world, please send your prayers to those brave warriors who are in critical condition and their families. They are here serving our country. They are here protecting everyday Americans and citizens around the world in our nation's capital. They are the heroes of this day, and we must remember them on this day and every day, and their families and the sacrifice they have made.
All right, as you look at that picture that was there of them at the end, you see several different agencies involved. The Metropolitan Police Department was there. One of the deputy chiefs, I believe, spoke right after that. The mayor, so there's local. You've seen a one-star general standing there. The fire department from DC was there. And you know, if we would have listened to what some of the others had to say as well, we know that the mayor there is a Democrat. And by the way, she just this week announced that she will not be running for re-election. But it didn't sound like there was animosity between the different groups that were there. They all seemed focused on the what was at hand there. And Ronnie, that's the way it should be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They
this is just a live
should
shot
all
of
be
what's
on
going
the
on over there right now.
they should all be on the same page, especially on things like this. And
Yes.
to me, that was encouraging to watch that. It's never encouraging when it's about a topic the way it is, but you know, that's one of my great desires at this point in my life is that Americans would get along with Americans. I want to go back to the days where the commies were the enemy, not fellow Americans.
Right.
And you know, as I said earlier, you know, they punch us in the mouth and we knock them, you know, as you pointed out, into next week sometime.
Yes.
That's just the way the United States should do things, and I don't care who that makes mad. I don't care about the, you know, sissification. Is that a word? Sissification
Sissification. I like that.
of
Well,
America.
there's other words, but none that we can really say on here.
Yeah, I was going to say the word you're thinking. I was trying to stay away.
Trying to avoid. Yeah.
Yes, but I don't know about the two. I don't know what their status is. I know that certain things are supposed to take place before any kind of announcement like that comes out. And I don't, you know, I'm not going to speculate. What we've been told at this point is that they are both in critical condition, and that's how we are going to look at things. You know, I'm sure as that press conference that Patel opened, the local chief said that at this time there is only one suspect and he is in custody, but I'm sure they immediately are digging to see if there were accomplices anywhere and to see what this guy's presence online, and you know, they're probably getting search warrants as quickly as possible. I think maybe you said it earlier, or I read it. I'm not quite sure, but that he is not cooperating with them at all. So they may not even know his name at this point.
Yeah, I'm not exactly positive on that yet. I was watching it earlier and got busy and all that. Real quick, I just want to say a quick thank you to Steve Lookner here. This is Agenda Free TV. This is his live coverage. He's been going since the minute it came out. So Steve Lookner, if we're not live, go to Agenda Free TV. He is a great guy, and he really does stay out of politics. He doesn't go right or left. He's always covering something. So thank you very much for a couple of minutes we had you on here, Steve.
And might I add that had we not had something going on earlier, we would have been on much earlier ourselves, because we're striving to get to the point where when breaking news happens, then Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie is on it no matter when it actually happens. So you keep looking at things here for a second, Ronnie, and I will say a word of prayer, and we will continue on with this special breaking news edition of the shooting of two National Guardsmen in D.C. Father in heaven, we come to you again, thanking you for all that you do for us. And you're a loving and compassionate God, and unfortunately, bad things happen, and bad things happen to good people. And so for the two that were shot, I pray that they make it through. I pray for the doctors and all of the staff that are working with them. Give them wisdom, strength, and knowledge. Save their lives, Father. Save their lives. And for families and those that witnessed things, you know, it was on a busy street right there in our nation's capital. A lot of people were there to witness that. For those other National Guardsmen that just jumped into action so quickly and apprehended the suspect, Father, they're upset because they seen two of their fellow soldiers go down. Father, protect our nation. Protect us from all evils, both foreign and domestic. And while we have a feeling now that this one was domestic, we pray for safety from foreign issues as well. We don't know any details about the national security aspect, even though Kash Patel mentioned it. And we just ask, Father, that you would help us as a nation. Father, I thank you for what looked like cooperation amongst the different agencies that were there at that press conference. And I pray that as Americans, that we would come together and realize that fellow Americans don't have to be our enemy. Thank you, Father, for hearing this prayer. In Jesus' name, amen. Anything new, Ronnie, that we haven't covered on this just yet?
I don't have anything new other than a map of where this happened.
Okay.
They're not being really, since the first report that the two guardsmen were dead, they're kind of being quiet with their suspicions. But so Farragut West right here is where it happened. It's an entrance to a metro subway station, and I can zoom out just a little bit. And here is the White House. So here's the White House. Here's where this shooting happened. So, 2 blocks over and 2 blocks down, bam, you're in the White House. So obviously the White House went straight into lockdown immediately.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I've been at that metro station.
I believe I have as well. If not, I've been by it.
Right. I'm the same. I think I've been there. If you don't know anything about DC, the metro system is amazing. The underground subway system that they have, it really is a thing of wonder, and it's much better than going by car. In the downtown area, at least. And boy, I hope, and Hegseth said something in his speech, but Trump is always talking about how safe DC is now. And I hope that doesn't give people a false sense of security, that there's still not bad guys in DC, because there are. Obviously. And, Trump being Trump many times makes things seem like once he gets involved, there's nothing bad left behind. And that's just not the case, especially when it comes to crime. Much better. What do you got?
I've got to eat my words. Because I just talked about Sleepy Joe Biden being slow with his response, and here's a response from Sleepy Joe Biden. Jill and I are heartbroken. The 2 members of the National Guard were shot outside the White House. Violence, and it just went away. My apologies. But this ain't red, white, and assume. This is red, white, and true. So he did say something. I popped on here. I do have information that the 2 National Guardsmen were out of West Virginia. It's kind of bothersome because they had just sent Indiana National Guardsmen to DC a week or 2 ago. And Kash Patel has just said that they are still in critical condition. I think that's
I believe Vice President Vance was celebrating Thanksgiving with service members when he gave his remarks.
Yes.
And he did mention what had happened there in DC. It looks like he may have been introduced by Kid Rock.
Wow. Somebody by the name of Rapid Response 47 posted, "You sick, disgusting ghoul. 2 of these heroes were just shot in broad daylight. The guard saved countless lives, backed up by evidence. which you are too clearly stupid to notice. They are American patriots.
And I've seen at least two or three, two for sure, maybe three different posts from that person.
Really?
I do. Here is the remainder of what Joe Biden said. Jill and I are heartbroken that two members of the National Guard were shot outside the White House. Violence of any kind is unacceptable, and we must all stand united against it. We are praying for the service members and their families. What I want to know is, and here I'm going to sound ungrateful, but where was that kind of rhetoric when he was in the White House? If he was currently the president, he would be jumping on gun control, all kind of stuff. This is what I'm talking about. This is what kind of things that we need when these things happen. Not vitriolic mumbo jumbo from the left. And I'm sure it's only a matter of time before we hear that. But, I hope that's not the case. I really hope that's not the case. As we continue with what's going on there, Attorney General Pam Bondi has made a comment. Federal agents are on the scene of the horrific shooting of two National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C. Pray for our D.C. National Guard. I think she's got that off a little bit because I'm certain that those two were from West Virginia. But they are National Guardsmen in D.C. Secretary Kristi Noem, please join me in praying for the two National Guardsmen who were just shot moments ago in Washington, D.C. DHS.gov is working with local law enforcement to gather more information. Have you noticed one thing in common about all of those statements? Kash Patel, Pete Hegseth, we heard both from. I can tell you that I listened to J.D. Vance earlier, and he said this one specific thing that seems to be being said over and over. And have you noticed what that is, Ronnie?
I haven't caught on to it yet.
Oh, I tried to give you a hint. You didn't look up.
Sorry, I've got 1,000 things going on all at once. Sorry.
I did this, and every single one of them mentioned prayer.
Yeah.
Yes. Every single one mentioned prayer. And I appreciate that. Even Sleepy Joe, we are praying for the service members and their families. And I appreciate that Joe Biden was very neutral on that. A level of civility. And, you try not to think if there's anything good that can come out of this, but I would hope that if anything comes out of this is that we work together for the good, and the good is to bring the one person or any others involved to justice. And in addition to that, work together to see that it doesn't happen again. And we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is going to be something else happen, because there is, did you see me move my head there? Your mom fusses at me about the positioning of the camera for me. She says I look like I'm looking down my nose. So, but the evil is in the world, and evil will be in the world until Jesus comes back to take his church home, and then evil will still be in the world, just that his people won't be. And so we have to understand that there's always going to be evil. There's always going to be these kind of situations. I mean, the very first family on the planet Earth had evil that worked its way in.
Yeah.
Violent murder right off the bat in early Genesis. And so we're not going to get away from that. If you are just joining us, we are trying to keep track of what's going on in DC. Obviously, we're talking about the incident where two National Guardsmen were shot earlier this afternoon. I think they said it was about 2:15 local time there. So this has been going on for about 4 hours now, a little over 4 hours. And Ronnie, we schedule ourselves on Monday night and Tuesday night, but we want our listeners to know that whenever possible, when things like this happen, that we're going to go live, then we're going to go try to get as much information out as we can. We've heard from FBI Director Kash Patel in a press conference earlier. We heard from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and his remarks. We've read comments from the president and numerous members of the cabinet. Joe Biden's comment. And if you would like to throw any questions in the comments, we would be more than happy to do our best to answer. And let me see right here for just a second. I've got a short break in.
We're taking a short break, but don't go anywhere. Ed and Ronnie will be right back in just a few seconds. Thank you so much for supporting Red, White, and True. Did you know that your interactions with us on social media are vital to making sure that we continue to grow our audience? Please follow us on all major social media platforms, especially our Facebook page, so we can continue to share Christ through current events and more here on this live stream. Okay, just a little bit longer to make sure that you go grab your coffee, soda, or whatever you want, so we can continue with today's live stream. All right? Are you ready? Here we go. Here again are Ed and Ronnie.
For those that may not know who we are, as you're looking at your camera, Ed is on the left, Ronnie is on the right. That by no means means that either one of us are officially on the left. It's just a location and not a description, because we are both very far on the right. I said last night jokingly, I took a quiz once that see how conservative you are, and it really didn't say Ronald Reagan and I were twins, but it could have, and that's where I was on the graph there. You come up with anything else while we were taking a break?
No, I haven't. I've had a lot come in, but it's all pretty much the same thing. So
we had.
I'm not going to quit looking.
Right. Dan Bongino, FBI personnel are assisting with the investigation into the shooting of our National Guard members in DC. Please take a moment and pray for these heroes and their families. God bless America and all those who defend her. And again, that one theme, pray. It's kind of interesting. As a pastor, a lot of times people wait until there is a tragedy to talk about prayer. And they don't seem to put much stock in prayer until there is an emergency. Now, I'm not going to put down anybody for asking for prayer, especially in a situation like this. But let me encourage our listeners as a pastor to spend time in prayer in a non-critical situation time in your life. Uh, we know that God is there with us during the good times and the bad times. And so see what it's like to talk to him when there is nothing critical going on. Uh, Cindy Williams asked, Ronnie, do you want to take that question?
Sorry, I'm on the wrong screen here. Have they said what the circumstances were regarding the shooting? No, not really. They said at one point that it could be targeted or it could have just been a random thing. I personally believe that it was probably targeted. I don't know of anybody that just kind of, oh, hey, wait, there's some army guys. I'm going to jump out of my car and shoot them. So, but I could be wrong, but I haven't read anything yet, and I've been reading.
Well, I'm glad we're not hearing anything about that yet, because it would almost be impossible to get good information this early on.
Yeah.
Outside
DC
of,
mayor.
Go ahead.
Well, the DC mayor Muriel Bowser labeled the shootings as targeted, so there was that.
I've seen 2 or 3 different posts that mentioned it was targeted. Again, outside of the West Virginia governor having to pull what he had said about the service members being killed, there's been no misinformation that I've seen, that came out and said things that are going to come back later and maybe not be true. I mean, yes, Cindy, the FBI, I don't think has said anything. I read earlier, actually, that Trump kind of put a lid on contact with the media for right now from his standpoint. Good move. And so, Cindy, it's always good to see you. Glad you're here with us right now. And I'm sure it is warmer where you are in Florida than it is for us here in Indiana today. It's a little bit chilly. Let's see.
That's what it was. Sorry about that. I've got an ad keep popping up. I wanted to play music for some reason.
I have a note here that says multiple sources are classifying it as an ambush. We will try to confirm that. Maybe not right now. Don't know that can be confirmed yet. I'm sure we will hear from somebody later this evening on what is known and what is not known. I would think that would happen. We'll keep monitoring, and if there is a need, we will come back live later on. Let's put another question up there. And what is your opinion of Mandani? Is it to the White House and Trump's response? Well, his visit to the White House, I was not a fan of the way that worked. I think Trump was probably being nice for a reason. He probably knew, surely he knew, that if he came down hard on Mandami right from the get-go, then just because he's Trump, people would side with the socialist Muslim. And I don't, we talked about this, Ronnie, you and I both. We don't trust a word that comes out of his mouth, being Mandami.
No, not at all.
Go ahead. What do you got to add?
Me? Oh, a lot of people are mad on Trump's side that Trump would even take the time to talk to the guy. And a lot of people are mad on Mondani's side that he basically went to the White House to kiss the ring. But, you can not like somebody, but treat them with mutual respect. And, the fact is the meeting happened, and it's always been my greatest wish that the two sides get along, and it's stupid not to. And I really hope that a very, very, very liberal mayor and the conservative president would work together to make lives better for people in New York City. I don't see any reason to be mad about it, about a meeting. I thought it was a little odd that it happened so quickly, but best of luck to him, and I hope he's not as left of Karl Marx as he seems to be. So
I've not seen anything since that meeting that would say that he is anything different than what we've thought all along.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Looking real quick. All right. Look at Cindy. Ha ha. Thanks for your opinions. And
73 degrees.
73 degrees there in sunny Florida.
Yeah. How about minus 40 degrees from that with 40 mile an hour wind is what we've got here.
Yeah. And it's been that way all day long. Well, I think, Ronnie, unless we've got something else we need to hit here real quick, that we will check out.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm
just reading right now a news headline that come across. An MS Now journalist is accused of defending the shooter who killed 2 National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C. So I'm guessing this is maybe an older post because 2 hours ago. So yeah, it hasn't even been updated. So we'll keep gathering information, and if we got to come back, we can. No problem.
Well, a couple of things before we go. I just figured out yesterday, and I kept seeing things from MS Now, and I'm like, MS Now. That is the old PMSNBC. MS Now is, I'm almost certain. And I got a note that said that multiple sources, and this is according to NBC, both National Guard members were shot in the head. Another person said ambush. So again, that sounds like pre-planning, and pre-planning in my mind might mean more than one person involved. Again, that's assumption, and we are not red, white, and assume. We are red, white, and true. Right. And so we will continue to monitor. And if we have things that we feel like we need to come back live, we'll do so later tonight. Until we see you again, have a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Pray for those that are involved today that are not going to be having a very happy Thanksgiving tomorrow because of at least one idiot that ruined the lives of several people.
Yes.
I started to say good night. We're not quite at nighttime yet. But I look outside and I look at the time, and it is nighttime. So say good night, Ronnie.
Night, everybody. And like we said, if something else comes back, keep an eye out. We'll be back.
All right. And so until we see you again, go out and do the right thing.
Thank you for joining us for today's live stream. This has been a presentation of Ed Boston Media,